real conversations. From business breakthroughs to personal pivots, we're digging into what's driving change and what it really takes to lead. Now, here's Jennifer Bardo, Kelly Chandler, and Michael Chandler.
Hello. This is Jennifer Bardo, and you're listening to Elevate and Lead on the Lou Information Station, live on demand at louinfo.com. I have Brandon Anderson as my guest with me today. He's the Vice President of Safety for the Association of General Contractors, also known as ACGMO. So I'm excited to be able to highlight him here in a little bit. But I just want to do a quick recap and shout out to Neil Westfall with the Audi in Kirkwood Exchange. He was our guest last week, and it was really incredible to hear his leadership journey, how he pours back into the community, how he serves as a mentor, and how he's a true advocate for leaders and for his team members, as well as all the different associations and community activities that he hosts. So thank you, Neil, for being a guest. Thank you for being a sponsor. I appreciate you sharing all of your words of wisdom and your leadership journey. So on that note, I am going to quickly introduce a sponsor. So today's conversation is brought to you by Morgan Pinnacle Group. CEO doesn't mean that you're the chief everything officer. Morgan Pinnacle Group provides U.S.-based executive support so leaders can focus on growth instead of getting buried in tasks. To learn more, you can visit mpgstaff.com. So now I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, Brandon Anderson. Go into our Elevate and Lead question. Do you want to kind of give a quick overview about who you are and what does the ACG even mean?
Yeah, so I'm obviously Brandon Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Safety for AGC of Missouri. And AGC, we're a construction association for general contractors, subs, and specialties. Essentially, most organizations that touch the construction have the ability to be a member and support.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually served on two of your boards when I was with Enterprise Bank. I was on a service supplier board and the recruiting committee. So I love the work that ACG does. And just last week, you had an incredible event down at the St. Charles Expo. I guess it was the event with the GCs and the subcontractors with is a collaborative of subcontractors. ASA and AGC. ASA, yeah. Well, cool. I didn't get to make it either. I'm assuming you were out of town. So Brandon is known for being in the safety industry and as an expert, and he does several keynotes and travels a lot. So, yeah. Well, cool. Well, now we're going to get into our Ask and Elevate question. So this question is brought to us by Mark in Wentzville. It says, at some point in my career, many leaders face a moment where their values are tested. How do you know when it's time to make a hard change rather than staying in what's comfortable? Do you have any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think the answer's in the question, right? It's if your values are being tested, what you're facing or being asked to do contradicts your values or contradicts your integrity or goes against that. And I think there's your red flag, but maybe it's time to move on. And I've personally been in that situation, which is what led me to where I'm at today.
Okay, well, share more. So, what does that mean?
Yeah, some years back, there was not an alignment of views and values. And I had to make a choice based on integrity if I was going to continue to support the leadership at the time I was working for, without getting into who and where, out of respect for them. And I made the hard decision after a rather long career there to move on. And it was based on faith and integrity. Mm-hmm. And it was the best thing that happened to me and a blessing.
So once you saw that your boundaries and your values were being tested, it quickly allowed you to evaluate and knew you need to make changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing is what Brandon's saying here, Mark. I think it's really important to stay in alignment with what brings you value, because clear is kind. And if you're not in alignment with your purpose and your passion, then you're going to get out of whack. And if your values aren't being valued or reciprocated, that's going to question your integrity and if you're on the right path. So I think it's going to be difficult to make those changes, but it's really more important to do those hard things now rather than conform into something that you're not and allow your values to be challenged. So I think we're both in alignment there.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, thank you, Mark. I hope that you were able to listen to our words of wisdom and able to act more in alignment with being okay to challenge someone who, if there's challenging your own values, you have to stay firm and planted in who you are. I actually just posted this thing yesterday about Lainey Wilson, and she always talks about how she stays grounded because of how she was raised. And I think that's a lot of how our values and our integrity and our perceptions and our goals are kind of formated. But whenever they're challenged, it kind of makes you question like who you are. I'm like, am I on the right track? Yeah. Well, cool. So anyway, you've been in the construction industry for over 27 years. How's that even possible?
It's well, that's I claim 27 years because that's how long I've been receiving a paycheck.
What did you start when you were like 5?
Yeah, you're right. I'm a little older than
you busted that child labor law.
Yeah. Well, there was definitely a few years prior to that. I could probably claim almost 30.
Oh my
I counted
gosh.
the few years of working for free, or also known as room and board and food.
Right.
So for family.
It's awesome. Well, I know your background. You started in heavy highway. So can you tell
Yeah.
everybody, like, how did you get into this incredible association and become a national keynote speaker on safety and awareness?
Yeah. So it's unbeknownst to me at a very young age, getting into the heavy highway construction industry through my father in another state is what led me, my love for the construction industry and building bridges and roads that have an impact on the community, right? Everybody has to use those to get to work or, continue through life, so to speak. But that led me to coming back to Missouri and went to work for some organizations and DOT for a number of years. And,
For those in not construction, what does DOT stand for? We got to break it
the
down.
Department of Transportation. So worked for them for a number of years and always worked, on the side as well for friends and different opportunities that came along there. But grew up in a predominantly union household. The man that raised me, my stepfather and dad, he was a union carpenter. So I've always been touched by the construction industry, regardless of where I was growing up. So
Yeah, and union, non-union is a big thing. In my house, we were union, right?
yeah,
So then when my sister started dating this non-union guy and then married him, it was a little controversial. It's like saying you
Just a
like Ford
little,
when you
huh?
like Chevy, It's like one of those touch and goes. So
yeah, that's a great
yeah,
analogy for the Chevy.
it is.
It's so accurate.
I know. Well, my mom was a Ford and my dad was a Chevy.
Yeah,
He's a Corvette guy.
fantastic.
Too funny. So what led you to actually becoming a public speaker?
Yeah, so I've always been, I guess I wouldn't say a public speaker, but I've always been involved in employee development and safety training throughout my career. I have a knack for talking to people. I've never known a stranger, and that just kind of capitalized on that when I came into, employment and came to work for AGC of Missouri, roughly 6 years ago. So it's been a great journey there. There was an opportunity to address a group and talk about, at that time, mental health. My primary job is conduct training, safety training for the most part. So I'm always talking in front of large groups of folks and facilitating a classroom. It's a little different, but that repetition over 20 some odd years definitely helps being able to calm your nerves when you're standing on stage in front of 500 to 1,000 people sometimes.
Absolutely.
less.
Yeah. And I can't remember the statistic, but I know in the construction industry, it's the most heavily impacted by suicide. Tell us a little bit more for those that aren't familiar.
Yeah, unfortunately, the construction industry definitely has a problem when it comes to our mental health issues and suicide. And the suicide rate, we've seen numbers from 53 all the way up to 65 per 100,000 for just the men. Women are averaging around 25 and a half per 100,000 in our industry. In 2020, we had about 11 million and a half, almost 12 million people working in construction nationally. So those numbers are horrific compared to the societal numbers. The folks out here walking on the sidewalk, so to speak, the average is around 15 per 100,000. So
It's insane.
we definitely have a problem.
Yeah, I know when I was a part, they would give you these little coins and it looked like a little
Yeah.
poker chip.
Yeah.
Do you guys still give those out?
Yeah, I have one
It's
here.
yeah.
I carry one all the time.
Well, you have to show
So,
people
yeah,
on our
yeah.
show. Yeah,
Just looks like a little
Poker chip. Yeah.
We call it a hope coin.
that's cool.
So it was just one way for us to reach the industry and reach the folks that don't come to work to talk about their feelings.
Mhm.
Right. 'Cause we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Right.
So why do you think it is so high in the construction industry? Is it drug related? Is it because their bodies are being, impacted by pain? And what do you think it is?
There's a number of factors around the why, and we could talk for days on this. You have the generational aspect of this macho mentality.
Yeah.
Tough it up
Mhm.
or tough it out and suck it up and pull your bootstraps
Real men
up.
don't cry.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Real men don't cry. So not true.
I know it's not true.
You compound that with the stress and pressure of the job. I mean, if you
Mhm.
think about it from a construction project standpoint, from day one of the project beginning, that entire crew is working themselves out of a job.
Yeah.
intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And and subconsciously that's on their mind for sure. And you add that to it, the safety aspects of it, the long hours. You mentioned the substance use aspect. So it's an industry that's tolerates alcohol and substance use, right? If you're not having a drink around the water cooler or the tailgate of the truck in
Right.
the parking lot, you're not part of the clique, right?
Well, isn't there a picture like that where the guys aren't even on harness on a steel beam and they're
That's-
drinking on 10 o'clock
Yeah,
break?
well, there's
I mean, it's
questions of
not
whether
like that
was water or
anymore.
not. Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
I don't think they had water in glass bottles, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an iconic photo
Mm-hmm.
on that iron beam. But yeah, it's we have that. We still have that mentality today. It's been passed down from generation to generation. It's not really going away. There's been some change to it and some softening of it, but there's still that tough guy aspect. The substance use piece of it, we have the highest use of prescription opioids out of all the industries at around 25%. So just the, as you mentioned, the wear and tear on your body.
Arthritis and
Yeah,
well, even the temperatures, like the weather conditions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You get hurt on the job, you put, pull a muscle, and if you're not working, you're not making money. So you don't have time to take off for that or get that addressed. And either you self-medicate with booze, or if you do go to the doctors, for years they've been giving out pain pills, muscle relaxers to cope with that. Highly addictive.
Yeah, I had a friend who broke his collarbone. He was a painter and he had to carry those 5-gallon buckets, and he still showed up. And like, you don't get days off, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's not the same as the corporate world.
Yeah. So give us a little teaser about what is your speech about? How do you make an impact? How do you change these individuals' lives to see that there's another way out?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing for the industry or anyone listening and leaders out there is just to be yourself and be real. And when you open up about your own struggles and challenges, the workforce can relate to you, right? It makes you more human, so to speak. And I'm grateful to have the platform, grateful to be here today and be able to speak on the topic. But, the average presentation or keynote, so to speak, it really dives into what's going on in the industry, what our problem is. I get into the why aspect of it, because I've shared a little already. And then I tell my own personal story. I myself have struggled with addiction, and I've struggled with mental health issues throughout my life and career. And a lot of that I hid for a long time. And it led me to a place where not only was I thinking about suicide, I've attempted, and I'm what you would refer to as an attempt survivor. There's also, individuals that have lost someone. We typically refer to them as loss survivors. And I can't tell you the number of people that I've lost to suicide or overdose that directly worked in this industry or had some touch to it. So it's personal for me. And when you share that story or share your lived experience in a safe way to an audience of all demographics and generations, it's incredible and very moving when you have individuals come up to you that, as I would describe, probably the epitome of construction.
Right.
They're the big burly men, the beards, and they've got their bibs on because that's their dress outfit, and tattoos, and they shake your hand with bear paws, so to speak.
Right.
I'm a pretty decent sized guy, so when somebody that is larger than me, it's impactful. And when they look at you and hug your neck and they're crying and they've got tears running down their face and they say, "Thank you. We should have been talking about this 30 years ago."
Yeah.
That the industry's ready for a change and they're ready to open up. And then they're doing so. We've seen great strides. The coin we have, the Hope coin, and Hope stands for Hold On, Pain Ends. So this coin was our in to reach those folks without having to call them out or embarrass them.
Right.
And it just has a message on it of you're not alone and your story isn't over, and you can call or text 988. And I've got 40, almost 50 variations of this today from other companies where now they're putting QR codes on them.
That's amazing.
To connect them directly to resources at the employer level. We weren't sure how this was going to work. And now we're hearing stories of success where people have been saved, if you will, or have gotten help and started that journey of healing that pain they've been carrying around.
That's beautiful and it's powerful. And the whole time you're giving me goosebumps, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is such a hard topic to talk about. And the fact that you have the strength to get up and share your personal journey and then see the impact you're making by making that that difference is huge. I personally have friends that have shared that out loud. And when you hear that,
Yeah.
you're like, well, what can I do? And it's so hard to be in that space. And I love that you take up that space to be there for them. And there's no judgment. You're just there and you're an ally and you're trying to give them the resources. It's powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Been impactful.
Whew. Well, that's heavy.
Yeah, it is a heavy topic. And, you know, if anyone's listening or they see this later, I just would ask that if they're impacted by this or if they're feeling some kind of way, to cope in a healthy manner,
Right.
To reach out to a friend, you know, and take a walk. It's unusually beautiful outside right now.
It is. It's gorgeous
take
today.
advantage of that. And if you're somebody listening to this and someone comes to mind that you're thinking about that may be struggling, I would encourage you to reach out to them and just say hi and ask how they're doing for no other reason than you just thought about it.
And I love that you said that they're not alone. Like
Yeah,
you
they're
have to
absolutely
remind them that they're not alone and that they're loved and they're supported. Yeah.
I've
And even
stood
if, yeah, and even if you feel alone, sometimes our brain gives us weird messaging, you know?
The voices in our head are real, and it's really just our own thoughts, and we listen to that. It's impactful. It takes a lot, and it's a journey to get to a place where you can get those in check. But they really are impactful to how we feel about ourselves and what we think. And it's tough. And you know, to the point you made about we're not alone, we're not. I've stood in front of groups of hundreds of people, if not larger, and asked the question, you know, who likes to be right? Everyone does.
Of course.
Right? Everyone
Liked, heard. Yeah.
We want to be right. We want to be, we want to prove people wrong. And I enjoyed as well. And I asked the question, who has been impacted by suicide or overdose in their life, personally and professionally? And most of the time, 70 to 90% of the room raises their hand. And I look at them and I ask them to look around at the same time, regardless of whether they raise their hand, and explain to them, I just proved all of you wrong and I'm right, simply because you're not alone. But we act like we are.
Yep.
We bury it. We're quiet about it. We don't share. You know, we think the person we're sitting across from can't possibly understand what I'm dealing with or what I'm going through. And the fact of the matter is it's just not true.
Right.
Most of us have been impacted by this in one way, shape, or form in our life. They say the research tells us today that the average individual or death by suicide impacts about 130 some odd people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. No one's talking about it.
No.
So I love that you get up there and do that. And you're the disruptor to hopefully create change. And you've been seeing some positive change, which is really powerful.
It's going to take, I coined a new phrase recently, it's going to take disruptive collaboration to really make that happen and make that change occur. And we're seeing it. I refer to St. Louis as ground zero. A lot of this work started in St. Louis in the construction industry. There were some other pockets around the nation that had been doing and getting into this space. And we really pushed the envelope here and turned into somewhat of a national model for some of the other chapters and regions. And what we're seeing today is organizations that didn't even want to talk about this or were unsure if they should, even trades.
Interesting.
Some of the unions at a few years ago, and now we're seeing them lead the way. And
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Because like you said, you need that collaboration to truly
Yeah.
make an impact. You can't be out there hustling yourself.
No.
And as a
No.
daughter in the construction industry, I just remember my dad always talking about OSHA and safety, but suicide was never a topic, you know,
Yeah.
even though I remember him having some staff members, not staff members, team members, you know,
Right.
some of his coworkers, and they got into some trouble. And next thing I know, 2 of them are passed away, you know, so it's just hard. And I think back about those guys and it's like, I wonder if they would have had a coin, if they would have reached out for help.
Yeah.
So, and my dad had no idea and he worked beside them every day.
That's
It's
tough.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah. And survivor's guilt's real. Grief. Everyone handles it differently. And there's help for that out there as well, for sure.
Right.
And it's tough. You mentioned OSHA. We lose around 1,000 people per year in construction on average for the past couple of decades. It ebbs and flows some. You look at the suicide rate, we're 5,000 easy. Some of
It's
us
insane.
believe we're closer to 7. I've heard some folks think that we're even closer to the teens almost.
Gosh.
It's really hard to determine if someone died from suicide or if they passed from an overdose. And there's some challenges there with collecting that data. But compared to what we really focus our time on is the OSHA Fatal 4,
Right.
rightfully so. However, but if you look at the data statistically, that's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's mental health and suicide.
Yeah, there's a bigger reason.
There's a bigger problem in our industry.
And I totally fast forward. I forgot. What does OSHA stand for those that aren't familiar with construction?
Yeah. So the Occupational Safe and Health Administration.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you have to regulate that on every job site, and it's a requirement. So,
and we're seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing you have organizations here in St. Louis like Lean STL, which is Laborers Escaping Addiction Now. So the LIUNA and the laborers have dedicated individuals, some friends of mine, they're great, incredible people that are going out on the job sites and meeting with people, meeting with the trades, and meeting with their brothers and sisters of that union. So it's been fantastic. We're seeing other organizations do the same. There's a St. Louis Building Trades Coalition today, where they're all just coming together, trying to find answers and resources to band that collaborative power, that disruptive collaboration, to make a difference. And we're seeing companies that are hiring individuals to focus just on this topic sometimes, or large mega projects are bringing on counselors and therapists.
Wow, that's huge. Never heard that before.
Yeah, where you won't even have to leave the job site.
That's incredible.
And you have the ability to go speak to someone or seek help during work hours,
mm-hmm.
which is, it's unreal.
That's unheard of. Wow, that's transformative in regards to the construction industry. That's cool. I didn't even know that was happening in our backyard.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's fantastic.
Well, we are going to be right back. We're going to take a short break. You are listening to Elevate and Lead, and we have Brandon Anderson as our guest today.
Hot Take Central 2.0.
No, it's really getting out of hand, man. It's going way out of control.
With Cam Jansen.
I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks.
And Jimmy the Cat Hayes.
You're a legend in the city, moving by day instead of night.
Weekday mornings from 8 to 10.
Hell yeah.
Only on the Lou Information Station. Streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. Hot Take Central 2.0.
This whole situation is getting out of control.
St. Louis sports fans, now you can go deeper with STL Sports Central Insiders. Get exclusive access to Bernie Miklasz, Randy Carricker, Mike Claiborne, Jamal Mayers, and more. Plus, your chance to watch a Blues game in the alumni box with Jamal himself. Also, monthly giveaways, Bernie's columns all week, and you'll be supporting local sports media. Join now at stlsportscentral.com.
Introducing the Key STL Burger Bar and Boogie, your new home in the Grand Center Arts District. The Key STL is where the music plays, the game is always on, and the dance floor is open. The Burger Bar features the ultimate smash burger experience with premium pasture-raised local beef and a dozen house-made sauces to top it all off. It's the Key STL Burger Bar and Boogie, 3225 Olive in Midtown. Before, during, or after any game, this is the spot, St. Louis. Find out more at thekeystl.com.
LouInfo.com news headlines. Brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. 222-2222.
With your LouInfo.com news, I'm Jared Sorello. Thanks for joining us. Residents in Festus say they want to decide if a data center will be built in the city. A petition calling for the data center plan to be put to a vote was presented to the Festus City Council on Monday with about 1,400 signatures on it. However, Mayor Sam Richard said they are not required to put a petition on a ballot, and the city will not do so. The Ferguson City Council is approving millions of dollars for road repair. Council voted Monday in favor of moving $5 million from the general fund toward improving streets and city facility parking lots. $4 million will be spent on repairing residential streets, while the other $1 million will be used to upgrade the parking lots at the JJE Center, JFK Center, and the Florissant Police Department. For the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. I'm Jared Sorello.
Now, LouInfo.com weather. Presented by Home Bank. Member FDIC. Secure your financial future by opening a high-yield checking account today. Go to myhomebank.bank to get started.
Here's your LouInfo.com weather update. Pretty mild today. It will be a little cooler on Wednesday. We have a dry cold front set to move in. We may get some rain by Friday night into the weekend. For now, we'll stay sunny. Our high today about 60. Overnight, some clouds, low 30s, sunny and cooler on Wednesday, about 50 on the high. Maybe a shower Thursday. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton for the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at LouInfo.com and the free Lou Info app.
Fast Track Auto Transport has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable service across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions for individuals, dealerships, fleets, and businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives our customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping a single car or managing a large fleet, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for over 25 years. The trusted way, the safe way, the Fast Track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004.
Yo, I got a key to the front door, badge to the back, 100 little problems and they all attack. I'm the boss, the backup plan B, C, and D. If it breaks, guess what? Who's fixing it? Me? I'm the meeting, the marketing, the late night grind. The day we pay that bill, panic on my mind. Yeah, I started this dream with a big old plan. Now I'm the whole department in the one-man band. CEO doesn't mean chief everything officer.
Delegate like a boss, because you are one.
Contact Morgan Pinnacle Group to learn more.
The Lou Information Station presents coverage of the Mid-States Hockey Playoffs presented by Vantage Credit Union. Game coverage includes Founders Cup, Wickenheiser Cup, and Challenge Cup games, including each division's championship. Tune in or log on to the Lou Info YouTube channel. Mid-States Playoffs are presented by Vantage Credit Union and by Mattingly Lumber, WashU Medicine Orthopedics, and by Kenny Reinhold with Caldwell Banker Realty Gundaker.
Spotlighting the people and ideas reshaping how we work, lead, and live. Back to more of Elevate and Lead with Jennifer Bardot, Kelly Chandler, and Michael Chandler on the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com.
All right, welcome back. This is Jennifer Bardot, joined here today with Brandon Anderson from the AGC. You're listening to Elevate and Lead. Before we jump back in and start asking Brandon more questions, we have another shout out to a sponsor of our show, which is Morgan Pinnacle Group. You didn't become the CEO just to be the Chief Everything Officer. Morgan Pinnacle Group provides U.S.-based executive support for the work that eats up your time and your energy: operations, marketing, finance, legal research, and content creation. Start with as little as 10 hours a week and scale as you grow. If you can't find the perfect full-time hire, Morgan Pinnacle Group can build a fractional team across specialties. And when you're ready for a long-term hire, they can help you with that too. Schedule a quick chat at mpgstaff.com and buy back your time with Morgan Pinnacle Group. So, Brandon, we're back.
Yes.
So any thoughts or words of wisdom that kind of popped into your head while we were on break?
I think just, the overarching message is that for anyone that's listening out there, regardless of what industry you're in, or even if you're not in the industry yet, right, you're not alone.
Right.
There is help available from youth all the way through, the adults side of things. So personal, professional, you're going to reach out and ask for it. Tell somebody that you're needing.
And I think that's the hardest part, is when you're asking for help, but there's resources out there. So what is the number that people can call?
Yeah. So the big number that everyone is really focusing on is 988, right? That's the Suicide Crisis Lifeline. And whether you need to speak to someone because you're in crisis or struggling, maybe you know someone, you can call and ask them how to, how do I help somebody? There's plenty of other resources around the country as well. Quick Google search, you're going to be overwhelmed with information. I know locally and also on a national level, I'm connected to Charlie Health. They're one of the directors is a buddy of mine, Chris Ray. incredible story as well of trials and overcoming those. And now he's in an industry that's providing help. So it's, that's just one of many that are out there.
Well, there's resources out there. You just have to really, push yourself to ask for help and realize that you're not alone. And I love that there's so many people out there that are talking about these hard experiences. And I can personally think back to my very first book. One of my contributing authors, she actually wrote about it. And I remember how powerful it was for her to actually share that story. And we were speaking in front of a bunch of college students on I think it was the Lindenwood campus. And once she shared her story, one of those students came back and gave her a big hug because it was so powerful. So you never know who needs to hear that story. So I love that you have the courage to share.
Yeah, you really don't.
Yeah, never know. Because like you said, that big burly man can mask up and he can look very guarded, even though inside he's feeling a lot different. So anyway, so you have co-founded the ACG's Americans National Task Force for Mental Health and Suicide Prevention. What does that even mean? And how are you growing those efforts on a national scale?
Yeah, so, most organizations have a committee for just about everything. And in 2022, myself and a colleague from Seattle, her name is Mandy Kahn, is a dear friend of mine and actually wrote her master thesis on mental health and construction. And she's, I need to rephrase it. It's not Mandy Kahn, it's Mandy Courtney. She's recently married.
Congratulations.
Yeah, one of my best friends, and love her and her husband dearly. But we were sitting around at a conference. She had just given a keynote presentation on mental health and construction. And we realized, it just kind of came to us, hey, we've got a safety committee, we have diversity committees, we have membership committees, we have all these committees about committees. Why don't we have one on this? And we went to the powers that be, so to speak. We call them our handlers at AGC of America and said, hey, can we start something? And they said, yeah. So we started AGC of America's National Task Force on Mental Health and Suicide Prevention and Substance Use Disorder. And it has grown into a national effort. And we are partnering with the industry and industry stakeholders across the country and even the globe. So to speak, we've got some partners over across the pond in London and the UK, and we've collaborated with, and it's been an incredible journey. We've created training, and we have what we refer to as the largest open source free website with resources for everyone and anyone related to the construction industry on these topics.
So if you wanted to partner and get involved, how would they reach out? How can they get involved in this big national, international effort?
Yeah, so the task force, we hold quarterly webinars and forums. So we're bringing in guest speakers, industry stakeholders, and partners to talk on various subjects. We have a library of prior recorded forums and webinars that they're more than anyone can access. There's no paywall to that. So just simply if you were to Google AGC of America Mental Health, the first link that typically comes up is our task force webpage. And you can go to that. Yeah, if you're a member of AGC of America, one of the chapters nationally, or U.S. territories, the training that we've developed, 3-hour, 5-series online virtual training, it's really well done. The feedback's been great. For supervisors and anyone in a leadership role or anyone period, it would apply to in one way, shape, or form, and you can access that for free.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a little plug for AGC. You don't actually even have to be in the construction industry to be a member of this association here.
Yeah, there's opportunity if you're a supplier or your service touches the industry somehow, or there's a way to bridge that gap, if you will. There's typically an opportunity.
Yeah, because I was a banker, so I got plugged in, and I was working besides people that were in insurance. Some of them were CPAs, others were GCs and subs. But yeah, you can get involved, and these have incredible resources. So you had mentioned that there was somebody over the pond in the UK, and you were recognized by the House of Commons. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
And what does that mean to you personally?
It's wild. It's still
it sounds wild.
It is still a moment that it'll probably go down. And
were you sipping your tea?
Yeah, right. We missed tea time, but yeah, it was a friend that I met through the industry on a similar journey over in London. His name's Carl Simon with a company called Field, FYLD, and he's an incredible human being. He's a officer of the British Empire, OBEs.
Wow.
So really distinguished individual.
Do they still wear those crazy big hats?
Well, I mean, some of the guards do. We did go to the changing of the
I've never
guard.
been there, but I've watched Austin
it
Powers.
was that's your reference to your knowledge. That's fantastic. That's fun. We did go to changing of the guard. That was a really cool
That's so
experience.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
the history. If you're a history nerd, London's incredible. But my friend Carl, we connected similar missions, just two different countries, and have stayed in touch over the years. And his role over there, not necessarily in the professional world regarding the company, but as being part of the military, so to speak, he as he shared with me, he was a direct report to Queen Elizabeth when she was alive.
Wow.
And still works with Parliament to this day and helps facilitate and organize their national task force.
Wow.
in the UK. He has been stalking us, so to speak. And I say us as an AGC of America.
Right.
It's a collaborative effort with the task force. But they invited myself and Mandy to come over and participate in their annual in-person meeting at the House of Commons, or everyone refers to as Parliament.
Wow,
It
that's
was
so cool.
an incredible experience to walk those halls, have
Yeah.
a very private tour, and then also opportunity to present to the task force there at Parliament and share what we're doing, share our message and success, and be able to collaborate with those folks. And they have very similar issues as we do. Obviously, the access to mental health resources there is different compared to the United States, but they're still struggling and they're taking action just like we are. So it's a huge honor. It's very prestigious for AGC of America, the task force, and for us to be able to represent. So it's surreal for me even to sit here and talk about it.
Yeah.
I see myself as just some kid that grew up out in the country, so to speak, and had a rough upbringing to a degree, just like many of us. You know, it's nothing special. It's very common, and had our challenges. And I sat there asking myself, like, what am I doing right now? How is this possible?
And you
I'm
just talked
extremely
about those
grateful.
inner voices. Isn't that wild? Even
Yeah.
what you've been able to accomplish, you still have those inner voices. Yeah.
The doubt,
Mhm.
the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
piece of it.
It's so real.
Yeah, there was a lot of that leading up to that visit of why.
Well, and
why
talk
am I
about full circle moment right now. The Mark's question from earlier about, when someone challenges your values, it kind of gets you out of alignment. Obviously, if you weren't in alignment, that opportunity would have never presented itself. And obviously, you are so much on the right path. This is like an affirmation of, wow, I am making an impact and people are watching and witnessing, and to be able to have that opportunity in a totally different country. That is so cool. True change maker.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said, I can't express enough gratitude to the association leadership as a whole at the national level, and then locally too. I work for an incredible human being, Len Penges. Len.
Oh, yeah, I love Len.
And,
He's awesome.
He's great, and he's been fantastic to work for. He's an incredible leader,
Mhm.
and to allow me the opportunity to represent us, support, and do what I've been doing, it's saving lives, and it's a legacy piece for him for sure, and AGC, and obviously there's some rub off on me as well. For that.
Yeah. And he's a change maker in the industry. He's
Yeah.
been leading his own podcast pre-COVID.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. That's what I'm trying to say. Then everybody got hopped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So obviously you talked a little bit about your own mental health struggles and how that shaped you into your career. But, how do you really envision, if you look at the construction industry and you kind of forecast what that's going to look like even 10, 20 years from now? What do you think that's going to look like?
It's a great question, and it's I think it's difficult to really forecast that accurately. It's hard to say.
Well, I guess,
I'm
and what could you hope
optimistic.
for?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic, and sometimes I get my hopes up.
Yeah, I get
I
that.
try not to, but I think there's something to that, though,
Mhm.
to be optimistic and to be excited about what's to come. You look at the St. Louis Building Trades Coalition that's taking off, and the leadership team. They're incredible individuals that are, they've lived it. They're they've made a rally cry, right? The battle call, so to speak, of, hey, we need to come together. And that's happening. What is that going to lead to? Is it going to lead to more peer supporters out there in the field on job sites? It could potentially lead to new careers in the industry for a company. You know, we have the traditional HR staff and safety staff. You know, we could see mental health professionals on staff potentially in the future. I know companies, there's a great company, Nabholz Construction here in the Midwest. They're a member of AGC, and they actually have a medical professional on staff.
That's amazing. 'Cause I can't tell you how many times my dad's gotten shrapnel in his eye on a job site. No, you know, not shrapnel, but, you know, like a piece of glass or something, some sort of debris.
Yeah.
You know?
But to have someone on staff to be able to, you know, run your wellness visits, and check on your people, they don't necessarily have to leave the job site.
Exactly.
Is a huge benefit, and they're catching, you know,
Preventative care. Yes,
care,
that's huge.
And what that leads to is a better quality of life.
Absolutely.
So
and they
even
feel supported. Because when do you have time to actually book that doctor's appointment when you're working crazy hours?
You don't. Your average 10-hour day is probably closer to a 16 before somebody actually gets to sit down and go to bed or just relax.
Yep.
And we don't have doctor's office taking hours after 5 and 6 o'clock.
Nope.
When these folks are getting off after they drive home and kids and all the stuff. So things go left unchecked.
Yep.
On the physical side, again, back to 5, 10, 20 years down the road, you know, we could potentially see that, you know, breakthrough, those new positions come into the industry. I don't think it's unrealistic to think that.
Yeah.
And potentially forecast that. I think that's real, for sure.
I think it's necessary, especially when you're seeing the amount of energy and just the drive time, and even when you have to work out of town or you're picking up overtime hours, like it just makes your life a little bit more convenient. And then that's another way to retain your talent and make them feel valued, heard, and seen, and hopefully cut down on some of these concerns.
Yeah. Well, and that, to your point of being valued, heard, and seen, you know, if you look at it from a generational differences standpoint, we've got 5 or so generations.
Yes, you do in that industry.
Working in the industry right now.
Yep. And there's a huge deficit. There's not enough people getting into the industry.
No, not at all. And there's a great opportunity. I think the construction industry, with the backlog of work, you know, we're really, some of our greatest years are probably ahead of us.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Let's hope so. I like that.
I definitely
Because I know everybody's
believe
freaked out because of, you know, robots and AI.
I think that's going to be an adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than anything.
Well, maybe it'll take some of the strain off the bodies. So, yeah, that's cool. Well, I love your forecasting. I hope that is the case. And we were on break. You were talking about there's a company that actually is providing a therapist on site, and they're working. I mean, they're working with a lot of
I know
individuals.
of mega projects across the country that have brought in counselors and professionals that were receiving, you know, an unrealistic number of people during work hours.
Yeah.
But to have that resource available during work hours, you know, they were collecting data as well that sure, there's a cost to it, but then also the production piece, the retention piece,
Yes.
those numbers were going up, and people were happy. The morale was better. You know, even the other company I mentioned that had the medical professional, you know, that you turn into a destination employer. We have a couple of generations that are coming into this industry or are here, that one of the things that they look for is, are they going to be valued? Is their
Right.
voice going to matter?
Mhm.
Are they going to be seen and heard? Right.
Mhm.
And it's important that they feel that way, and it's important that we adapt and feel that way. The days of, hey, just do it because I told you,
Yeah.
that side of the industry, there's a piece of that that's always going to be there, but we have to adapt in order to welcome in the next generation.
And I hope
and
they're
survive.
incentivizing doing these things that are actually going to help you have preventative care and
Sure.
have, you know, more stable mental health. And, you know, I hope they're incentivizing it.
I'm sure there's a piece of that to some of the companies.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. A lot going on in the construction industry. Yeah. It's cool. So when you think back about your legacy, what does you personally want to see, like with your kids and your grandkids, in regards to like when someone says your name?
Yeah.
And you're thinking like, you know, 20 years down the road.
Right. You know, hopefully I'm here longer than that.
Well, of course.
Retirement
I'm
age
just
is quite a
saying.
ways off.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying, like, how do you want your legacy lived? I'm not saying you're going to pass away in 20 years.
No. But no time is guaranteed. I have a keynote on legacy leadership and had the opportunity to speak on this recently, where all of us in this industry and maybe others as well, that like, hey, I helped build that, or I was on that project. Right?
Yes.
I see that light or that beam. I put that on there.
Yep.
I was at the top of that building. The road we're driving on, right? I paved this. And many of us in this industry are guilty of telling our friends, and our kids are probably tired of hearing it. And
I love those stories.
they're great stories, but truly, that's not our legacy. It's a component.
Mm-hmm.
The truth of our legacy is really how we treat people.
Yes.
How we made them feel, and how we built them up.
Yeah.
And that's, my grandfather was very important to me. He since passed away some years ago, and he always instilled in me to leave whatever it is, to leave it better than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my mission in the construction industry from the beginning, is how can I impact others, build them up, develop them, leave them safer in a better position, ultimately the industry better than when I came into it. And I believe myself, I'm not taking credit for all of that, but I do believe the incredible people I get to work with across the country and even across the pond, that we're doing that.
It's awesome.
It's happening.
Yeah.
And it will be better.
Yep. I love that. I know one of the messages that I always heard from my dad is like, lead by example.
Yep.
If you're asking somebody to do something, you better get right there beside them and be doing that too. So there's so much great wisdom, and the work ethic in the construction industry is like far beyond any other, in my opinion.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
The things that make the industry so great, and individuals, that grit and fortitude,
Yeah.
that we've never met a challenge we weren't willing to meet,
Right.
Head on and execute, accomplish. That tough mentality, or can-do mentality, is the same mentality that causes the struggles of mental health,
Right.
and keep us from open up about our feelings, right?
Yes.
I got to tough it out and get this job done. I got to tough out my feelings. I can't talk about it.
Yep.
Right? And that's not the case anymore.
That's cool. We can have it all.
Yeah, we can.
Yes. And thank you for sharing all the words of wisdom that you shared today. It's really interesting to just listen and hear how the construction industry is evolving and all the resources out there, and the fact that you're like literally getting eyeballs from another country that's wanting to replicate what you're doing. And like you said, this is the HQ for suicide awareness and mental health right here in St. Louis, Missouri. It's amazing. So I hope that ripple effect continues, and it just makes it more and more larger of an impact. But I love that you're going to be having your own podcast to highlight these incredible leaders and share their stories and define their legacy. Because I know as a daughter, I was like, I'm so proud to say my family business worked on, the ballpark. They worked on the MLS stadium. Like if you walk in there and you see their name on one of those bricks, that's cool. That's cool. So I love that.
It's all part of the legacy.
It is. And so many of these incredible leaders, they don't get to share what they've done, and they don't get to. There was a really cool video about something at the Arch where they were able to highlight all these folks that worked on the Arch. And I thought that was really cool. That's a cool, shout out, give back.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, do you have any other words of wisdom before we wrap up?
I don't think I do at the moment.
All right.
No,
I got you at a
I'm-
loss of
yeah,
words.
I will just say that I'm grateful. I'm full of gratitude for my life and all the experiences. I wouldn't change any of it, good or bad, because I truly believe that I may not be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
So it's a miracle that I am, and that's a fact. And I think if more people would choose gratitude, we'd be a lot better off. So.
Well, I'm
Appreciate
grateful
the
that you're
opportunity.
here because you're making a tremendous impact, and you are very much in alignment on your personal purpose and mission. So
Thank you.
thank you for having the courage to share that hard story. So thank you, Brandon Anderson with AGC of Missouri, Association of General Contractors. He's a Vice President of Safety of ACG of Missouri. And obviously you can reach out to him directly on LinkedIn. And if you're struggling with suicide, please reach out to the resources that were shared today on the show. And next week, we are going to have Cassie Range with Burning Legal. And you're listening to the Lou Information Station live on demand at louinfo.com. And this is Jennifer Bardot.
This message is presented on behalf of